Did you know that Africa is the birthplace of humankind? In this audiobook, you'll travel through the vast continent of Africa, journey back to ancient times, and discover one of the earliest and most famous civilizations, ancient Egypt. We'll then travel through the Middle Ages, discovering some of the largest empires in Africa to ever exist. Discover how Africa has shaped the world as we know it, and how the transatlantic slave trade led to the largest long-distance forced migration of people in history. Finally, you'll learn how Africa was colonized and how the African people regained their independence. History will come alive in this interactive audiobook filled with fun facts and engaging activities. Here's just a small sample of the amazing things you will learn about Africa. Ancient Egypt's incredible inventions, pharaohs, and architecture. The Egyptians weren't the only African nation to build pyramids. Find out what other African civilizations built more pyramids in one town than there were in the whole of Egypt. The introduction of Christianity and Islam and how they impacted tribal religions. How a huge monument was dismantled and taken to Rome for 70 years before being returned to its original site. Was Africa really a dark continent with no history in medieval times? The first country to introduce modern mental health care and free health care isn't where you think. Africa was home to the richest person to have ever lived. Learn more about him and how much gold he gave away. Discover who the real-life Lion King was. The horrendous transatlantic slave trade and the steps to ending the practice of slavery. The scramble for Africa and how its effects still impact the continent today. How the fight for independence happened throughout Africa, and how the racist apartheid regime in South Africa eventually ended with the help of a famous civil rights activist. Things are looking up, what the future holds for Africa, and you'll learn so much more. Africa is the second largest continent on Earth. It makes up 20% of the Earth's landmass, which means there are many countries in Africa that all have their own rich histories to be unearthed. So, put on your exploring cap and get ready to learn all about the history of this fascinating continent and its people. And here's a fun fact. Africa is more than 3 times the size of the United States. Throughout this audiobook, you'll explore the many kingdoms and empires of Africa, from ancient times to today. Travel through the ancient Egyptian, Kush, and Aksum kingdoms before reaching medieval Africa. Then, be awed by the impressive Ghana, Kanem-Bornu, and Mali empires. You will discover the shocking truth about the horrific transatlantic slave trade and the colonization, the settling with and controlling the indigenous native peoples of an area of Africa, before finally learning how it all came to an end, and how African countries regained their independence, which allows a country to govern and control itself. Watch history come alive with interesting images, fun facts, and amazing activities.